Welcome to Season 4 of Book Eaters Podcast.
This season we'll be exploring the best books of the year.
One might call them literary darlings. But how are we going to decide that, Michelle?
We aren't. We're going to leave that to the experts.
Each episode we will defer to one of those experts. Goodreads, the Pulitzer, Publishers Weekly,
The oddies.
Okay.
To see how they hold up.
And if we can keep up.
Abel will read the book.
And Michelle will listen to it.
Then we'll pour ourselves a drink.
Or two.
This season we're making classic cocktails.
And then we will take a sip down literary lane.
For some bookish banter.
Join us. This week, we take our selection from the #1 shelved book on Goodreads.
Actually, I don't know if you know this or not, April, but it was actually the most shelved book on Goodreads before it was even available to be purchased.
Well, that is a lot to live up to. So if you're not familiar, Goodreads is basically social media for book nerds.
That's right.
And the book is Happy Place by Emily Henry. It tells the story of 6 longtime friends, and for the last 10 years, they've spent summers together at a Maine cottage where they've invented crazy competitions, developed beloved traditions, and conveniently for us, paired off into 3 couples. But now, the cottage is being sold, so they're gathering for one last cottage hurrah. And yet, the loss of the cottage isn't the only heartbreak threatening this group. Gwen and Harry broke up months ago, and they've not told their friends. And you guessed it, too late now. They're going to have to fake it till they make it. It isn't long, though, before readers start to suspect that Gwen and Harry aren't the only ones hiding something. Have these friends outgrown each other, or can this magical cottage remind them that their happy place is in each other?
Aww.
Yeah, that was pretty good, I have to admit.
Yeah.
I will say there are some themes to this book that may be uncomfortable for readers. It does deal with losing a parent, grief, depression, anxiety, and there is alcohol and drug use.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's dive into it, Michelle.
All right.
Let's have our drink.
Yeah.
This week, we are having a picture of margaritas because in that book, my favorite little scene was when they all went out to the bar and shared a pitcher of margaritas.
There was a lot of drinking in this book.
It was mostly wine, though.
It was a lot of wine, but there was a lot. Yeah, in general, there was a lot of drinking. Cheers.
All right. Now, you are very familiar with this author, are you not?
Oh my God, I love Emily Henry. She's my favorite romance writer. I adored The People We Meet on Vacation, Beach Read, and also book. What is it? Book. The one with the bookstore, where they fall in love with the bookstore.
Not familiar.
It'll come to me.
I do think I read Beach Read, and I think People We Meet on Vacation has been on hold forever at the library, so I haven't read it yet.
So Friends to Lovers is my favorite trope. So naturally, The People We Meet on Vacation is, was all for me because it's Friends to Lovers. Beach Read and the book one, whose name for whatever reason I can't call right now, probably because I've had a sip of margarita. It can't be that tequila can't be that strong. But those are both sort of not enemies to lovers. I wouldn't go as far to say enemies to lovers, but like competitors to lovers kind of thing. Like there's definitely like a little bit of like in both of those cases, they're kind of the same book. And it's so much so that I think now when I think about those books, they get like interchanged in my mind. But after each of them, I saw that feeling that like, yay, love is fantastic. I love it all. Like at the end, so it's worth it. But this book
was a little Friends to Lover.
No, this was second chance romance with the one bed trope and an insecurity trope and a difference. I'm partial to reviews. I listen to a lot of reviews. I read reviews or whatever. And a lot of people who are also big Emily Henry fans like myself, book lovers is the book lovers.
Oh.
It's book lovers. A lot of people are also Emily Henry fans, have reviewed it, and they said things like, it's just not as good as the others. And so, like, going into it, I was like, oh. But then again, I don't really like second chance romance, okay. Because they're already together. It's like a prequel.
So you went in with somewhat low expectations.
I mean, yeah.
And how did you come out?
I loved it. I thought it was adorable. I thought they were nicely paired. It was cute. There were some parts of it, obviously, but we're going to talk first about what butters our bread, right?
Right. So the things that
let's only talk about things we like. So I really liked the character development. I love the way Emily Henry does that thing where she just described a character's like one like little detail about the character that makes you think that you know them. Like the way a character does something or smells, You know, like these little
Yeah, like Gwen always smelled like pine and cloves.
right, but each character, all 6 of them, they felt so unique and separate and distinct to me, and I was in love with each and every one of them.
Yes, and they were, and it's consistent. You know what I mean? It's not like she comes up with one good idea at the beginning of the book and then loses that thread. As with the cloves and the pine,
Right.
that came up several times. And scent is such a memory creator, so it would make sense that was so ingrained on Wen's personality. So
I also love like the little inside jokes that all the characters have and how they keep coming back year after year.
yes, jumping off the dock without screaming.
Yeah.
I love that game. Grocery Gladiators.
Like the whole thread at the beginning about how she changed her face. That is totally something that we would do.
Right.
You know, as friends, like it got dropped obviously because it's done. It was like a short bit, but everyone was in it and the bit, and they all contributed, and it was funny each time. But it didn't go on too long. Like I really just love that about her writing, because you just feel really like you're there in the moment. You're watching them, like you're friends with them. You want to be friends with them.
I would definitely agree. I think that my tastes in books tend to run toward the more not quite so mainstream.
Yeah.
And a result of that is that often I'm reading books that I love with some kind of unlikable characters. And with Emily Henry, you adore the characters.
All of them.
And not just because they're easy, they're flawed. You know,
yeah, for
but
sure.
they seem so real. I would want to be friends with every single person in this book.
So I was thinking about too in this book. First of all, I was like, oh, I wish I had friends like this. And I was like, oh, wait, I do. I have like the best friends. But also, I could not tolerate the level of competition they did for everything. I know that's probably your dream.
I loved it. I was like, I would fit in so well.
Like, I can't think of the times that April's like try to make us have like competitions in grocery stores, and we're all like, no, April, we are not going to fight over who's going to find the best ice cream. That's not a thing. But like, it totally reminded me of you.
Or like Tracy's French onion dip.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like we have a friend Tracy who like makes, it's generic Lipton onion dip, but like they call it a family recipe.
Tracy said, just go in the store and get me some French onion dip. And then I was like, okay, we all got 10 minutes to get the ingredients to make the best French onion dip. And when we get back, and we were in our own little vacation cottage.
We were.
Happened.
And then no one participated with it. Just like in the story, how half of them were like, sure.
and the
other half were like, we're super into it.
We win again, and that's because the other team does not give a shit.
That 100%.
So I know which friend group I would be in, and then you would be in the other.
Absolutely. But that was cute.
So cute.
And just like, okay, yeah, I can see that, and you can relate it to your own life as we have just done.
Right.
Which is great.
And yeah, I mean, it's just that aspect is so real, because the longer you're friends, the more you do develop those traditions.
Yes.
And just the act of repeating those traditions are like, it's like a blanket around you. It makes you feel safe. It makes you feel a part of something that's important. And she captures all of that.
And so you really feel like the tragedy of them possibly losing that and seeing them slip away as friends, and that was like another like back angle of the story, which I thought was really great. And then the romance between the two, I do love a one bed trope. I mean, it's adorable. It wasn't too spicy. It was spicy.
Can you remember?
But not too spicy.
I did wonder about you reading some of the romantic parts, because I was like, this is kind of open door.
I mean, it wasn't too bad though. Like the sex was fine. Like I don't think I ever went past like 175 from a speed perspective, right? Like some books I have to go all the way up to like 2.5, 3 to get through it. But you know, it was over fairly quickly. But you know, I want them to bone. I do.
Did
right?
you say bone?
I did. I want them to have sex. I want them to get together. Like that's an important part of a romance book.
I would say I want them to please each other. But
Yeah.
I'm a lady.
Okay.
If there's one thing April Freeman is known for, it is that she is a lady.
For sure, that's what we always say about her.
It's funny when you said the one bed trope, I immediately thought of probably my first experience with that. And it was an episode of Who's the Boss?
Ooh.
When Tony and Angela get like snowed in or rained in, or somehow trapped in a hotel room that only has one bed.
Yeah.
And Tony has to rig up some sort of curtain I think, to like keep the beds. And they only had one pair of pajamas that I guess they had to borrow from the innkeeper. And so she's wearing the top and he's just wearing the bottoms. And yeah.
Cute.
And that I was probably 12 years old. And I remember thinking, ooh.
Right?
So yeah, there is something to that, especially when the guy is a gentleman.
He was such a gentleman.
Such a gentleman. Even though, so maybe this would be a good time to sort of go through what the relationships in the book were.
Okay.
Because I do think what's interesting to me, so the narrator of the book, what you're experiencing is Harry or Harriet.
Right. And in the book, I just want to segue a little bit. The audiobook is done by Julia Whalen, who is hands down one of the best audio narrators.
Is it Whalen? I thought it was Whelan.
Whatever. She's one of the best of all time. Like literally, like if you see a book that she's narrating, why not? She's so good. And she's done every single Emily Henry book that I've read, and so
she's very popular.
She's so good, isn't she? I mean, you didn't hear it, but she's so good.
I've heard her before though.
She's amazing.
I've liked some of her stuff. Some of it I feel like she didn't really capture the character the way that I wanted. But everybody's got different.
I'm not hearing anything negative about Julia Whalen.
Okay.
I just want to go on record saying no. Okay. I will not hear it.
Okay. All right.
I will not.
And another thing that I really liked is that it kind of went back and forth between the past and the present. I always love when books do that. Because
that was nice, especially since it's a second chance romance.
Yeah.
And I got to feel them get together and see that, because otherwise it feels kind of tired. Like,
right.
You get to see the initial.
Yeah, but you also sort of get to sort of forecast, because you kind of know what just happened in the future. And so when you're reading about the past, you've got these little clues that you can be like, did this happen? And then same thing in the future. You know what they've been to together. So you're like, why isn't, how can they be treating each other this way I love that technique that writers have to do that. And what's really interesting too is Harry is the narrator. And I find this interesting because most writers do this. Usually when they're telling, sort of a multicast story, almost always the narrator is the person that you're supposed to identify with and is the straight person, the normal person, know. And that is interesting to me because I think most people feel like they're weirdos. Most people feel like they're a little bit different than the normal people. So I'm always curious about why they don't write the perspective from someone who is the weirdo.
So I think that you do get, I think most good stories, the narrator or the person who's in perspective, we're seeing it from their perspective, not because they're straight, but because they're the person who's got the growth in the journey. They're the one that has something at stake in throughout the whole story. So that's why we're hearing it from their perspective. And a lot of times they're not the straight person. I think you're seeing it through their eyes. So the quirks that they have and what have you are not going to be as pronounced as if someone was watching them.
Right. I think it's just so there's 6 friends. They all have very different personalities. There's Wynn and Harry, the couple that are pretending to be together even though they've broken up. Sabrina, who I adore, and Parth, who got everybody to the cabin even though they all had other stuff going on and were trying to get out of it by pretending that they were engaged. And they weren't pretending, honestly, but
she's the character I related the most to.
I could see that, the organizer of things and trying to bring everybody together. Definitely could see that. And then Cleo and Sunny.
I don't remember now. I'm not great with names, but yeah, the two that run the farm.
Kimmy. Her name was Kimmy.
Okay. The farmers, right?
Yeah, the farmers. I would love to hear the story of that week told from everybody's perspective. Like, let Kimmy be the narrator.
So, a lot of times you see that in books where...
And I love it. The point of view.
Get different POVs from each section. But I think we weren't supposed to. But I still, honestly, any one of those stories would be a great story. You know what I mean? Like, Wynn and Harry, their story is great. But then Cleo and Kimmy were also going through something.
Right.
And
I'd
you
love
could see
to
it, and that would be a great story in itself.
and I would have loved to hear how they met and what their, what had brought them, because they're so different, and yet
Par and Sabrina too, like they were going through something. So like any one of those couples, you could see it. And you know what? I just recently read two novels. I haven't read the third one yet, but it does that where it takes the different characters that are in and out of each other's whatever, and then it just tells me that story again from that person's perspective.
I love that.
And it's really great. What is it called? Oh,
I've read a couple that way too that I can't think of. But one thing that was never answered in the book,
Yeah.
and I kept waiting for it too, is Sabrina started out with a crush on Wynn. That was mentioned a couple of times.
Are we moving on now to Baby Bathwater?
We can, but I would say the one other thing is that, and of course I have some problems with the book that we'll talk about, but what I will give her credit for, other than the fully realized, lovable characters, is such sharp, funny dialogue.
Right? Laugh out loud funny.
Laugh out loud, like, oh, I wish I was that funny.
You are that funny. It is really. It's part of what makes you love them.
Yeah, like that very first interaction between Wynn and Harriet when he comes to pick her up
in the the airport,
and she's like, wow, Sabrina, have you changed your hair or something like that,
Yeah.
And then just right away they had this quick banter.
Yeah.
And it was just with all the characters, they were all funny but in their own ways, and that's what's so genius about her writing, is that she truly can create distinct, consistent characters.
Yeah, I have seen some criticism about her writing that suggests that these characters show up in all of her books in different forms.
Well, I think you kind of hit it,
but
on the nail earlier.
I think it's fine, and I don't know that I necessarily agree with that, but it's. I mean, I imagine there's only so many different types of people in the world. Some of them are going to be similar to others.
Right. Well, I think I was asking you and Tracy about this too, about how probably one of the hardest things you can do as a writer is to write a character who has a sense of humor that you don't.
Yeah.
Sure. And y'all said, no, we can do that. And then I even challenged y'all, what about really dark characters? If you're not a dark person, it must be really hard to come up with dark stuff. And then you two started throwing some very dark shit at me that I stayed up for several hours contemplating, do I really know these people? But I could see that because everybody's got a little bit of darkness in us. Mm-hmm. But we all have our own sense of humor, and it's hard to pretend to have a different type of humor. Like, I would be horrible at potty humor because I detest it so much.
Same.
So I wouldn't be able to come up with very many jokes.
Absolutely. Potty humor is basically just gross puns.
And noises.
Yeah.
But in any case, Baby and Bathwater.
None of these characters are like that. So Bathwater. So things I didn't like about it. She did leave me hanging on what happened with the crush. Right? They do the scene where they tell everybody.
Do you think it got cut during editing? Because what's the point of bringing that up if you're not going to resolve it?
Because it was the main reason why they weren't getting together, or one of the main reasons.
Yeah, that was she was
right?
trying. Yeah,
so
Harry was trying to be respectful. That Sabrina had.
Why would they drop that? I didn't understand why they would.
Yeah,
drop
what
that.
did Sabrina? Yeah, because they slept together.
She hadn't moved on yet to Par, so there was really no. We don't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know if she had a boyfriend at the time.
What's
We
up
didn't
with
know
that,
any
Emily?
reason.
We need to know, Emily.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I felt like I was left in a place about, but that's fine. And then I really I had another talk with a friend of mine about this as well, but I don't really feel like she would have left medicine like that. Like, that was a problem for me. I'm like, you're just going to give up your whole...
Maybe don't be a surgeon. Maybe do family medicine,
Right, like, she was so close to the finish line.
Yeah.
And she's just going to...
Maybe you want that as a safety net, so just finish it real quick and then take a couple of years.
Plus all of that debt.
So in the book,
yeah,
a big piece of it was her entire life she's wanted to be a surgeon. It's been probably half of her identity, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's on the tail end of finishing her residency, and she just decides, no, I'm going to do pottery instead.
Yeah, so that was tough for me.
Kudos for, speaking your truth and being brave, but nobody would do that.
Well, a friend of mine...
Not that you'd finish and then do it.
A friend of ours pointed out that we did get clues throughout the book that she wasn't happy with medicine.
But you would still finish.
But it's hard for me to believe that someone with her work ethic and her like follow through would not give up a couple more years to see it to the end, even if she decided she didn't want to be a brain surgeon. You know?
Yeah, and she didn't talk about why she didn't like it either, except for other than she was tired all the time. But I mean, she had to have moments. I mean, that's maybe my side of, I didn't intend to get into healthcare either. Of course, I'm not a brain surgeon, but I didn't intend to get into the healthcare field either. Right. It wasn't like a childhood dream of mine, and yet there I ended up. Right. And even I found it very, those moments with patients when you've really made a difference for them, and they're so grateful, and something to.
For me, it's not even really about that. It's just about the fact that you've already. I mean, I guess there's
that. Fuck the patients for me. I mean, I really don't give a shit about that. It's more about I spent all this money on college.
100%. You know, like just for me, like it was hard for me to imagine that I'd spent at this point 12 years of my life doing something. I have 2 more to go till I have my degree.
I don't even think she had 2 years to go.
Like, I don't, maybe less than that. I don't know. It felt like full on irresponsible. Like, I'm all for chasing your dreams, you know, but maybe take a pottery class and decide if that's what you want before you switch.
Well, she did take a pottery class.
I mean, I know, but just like it felt very much like rushed. Like, we needed to get them together. This is another big Emily Henry thing, which people we meet on vacation, she did too, where they're from different worlds and their worlds don't mesh, right? Like, he's a city guy and she's a country girl, and who's going to live where and how are we going to manage that? Like, that's a whole thing. It's always sort of like in the back end, which is in this book too, right? Like, they couldn't be together because they wanted different things, and the things they wanted for whatever reason couldn't exist simultaneously. I find it really hard to believe that there's not a hospital where he lives. Maybe not. I don't know. But I get the whole idea of like, who wants to be the last person to die for a war that's ending? Who wants to spend more money after something you don't want, right?
Right.
I understand that piece of it, but I think the money had already been spent at that point. It was just a matter of
she mentioned that she had like thousands and thousands and thousands of
college
debt.
Is expensive,
and especially for
and as
medical
somebody
students.
who's in pottery, you're not going to be able to manage. I wouldn't imagine maybe that kind of debt, and it just felt a little bit jarring to me. Maybe,
Michelle,
maybe because I don't have that kind of courage.
Michelle,
maybe that's what it is, but I don't know. I just didn't feel good about it.
She'll figure it out, you know. She's got to follow her heart. She'll figure the rest of it out. My big problem...
Sure, yeah.
My biggest problem with the book, and this is something why I don't tend to like romance, is the miscommunication, lack of communication. It drives me crazy. Why can't people, especially, this is a person that you've been with for like 8 years.
So this is where the insecurity trope really comes in, how they're both really insecure.
Well, then you never had a good relationship. And maybe it's, you guys know, I confess at the drop of a hat. I cannot stand to carry around a feeling and have it's a weight on me. I have to just say it. So I overshare quite a bit.
Right.
So it's just so hard for me. I mean, sure, there are some wobbles that I have with communication too, but it's never that I won't tell you, you know?
I mean, I think really that it was on him mostly, right? Because he decided that it was best for him to not be in the picture
I hate
anymore.
that though. I just can't imagine people actually behaving that way. But especially people who know each other well. You'd be calling each other on that. And I just cannot stand that. I cannot stand like I feel this way, but I'm not going to say, like, Nate actually, I have this thing where I have to understand the other person.
Yeah.
And if you are behaving in a way that I don't understand, I'm not just going to be like, that's weird. You're
not going to assume that they're like mad at you.
Right. I'm going to have to talk, like ask you. And Nate, it drives him crazy. And I'm like, I just want to understand.
Rob and I are the opposite. Like, he's you in this scenario and I'm Nate. I'm like, what? no, I don't need to talk about this. He's like, well, you're acting like you're upset about something, and I don't think it's about this thing that you're talking about. We need to talk it through. And it drives me freaking nuts. So I think, like, in some respects, I kind of understand the whole, you decide that this is what it is, and then everything that happens afterwards, you're like, okay, that's more evidence of what I thought. This is more evidence of what I thought. That's more evidence of what I thought.
I would
and then finally you're like, I'm going to break it off first because I don't want to be the one that gets left. And I can kind of get it. And also there's that sort of tension of like, I get to be the martyr in the situation instead of dumped. That's appealing.
Oh, maybe it's because I would much rather be dumped than dump somebody.
Yeah.
I would 100% rather. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that's really the only two things about the story that I did not like full on I'm in with. So I'm definitely going to love it and recommend it to people. I think it was better than Beach Read.
Well,
I don't know about book lovers.
I read...
Definitely not better than People We Meet on Vacation, but I think it was better than Beach Read.
I read one Emily Henry book, and I'm pretty sure it was Beach Read. And what you said at the beginning of the podcast, I think, really hit the nail on the head for me.
Yeah.
The books are very interchangeable, so it's hard to remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's, even though you love it, it's sort of that way for me with classical music. Yeah. Like, even I have a very hard time remembering the names of what symphony that is. Maybe because there's numbers in it, and I don't remember numbers well either.
Sure.
But the point is that I can kind of vaguely remember that I was entertained by it, but it's not something that it's not oatmeal for breakfast. It's a Pop-Tart for breakfast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not going to stay with you.
It's a romance novel. It's not designed, I think, to like change your mind about the world.
I guess I didn't realize it was a romance novel. I thought it was like more chick lit, you know?
No, this is a romance.
Well,
it's got an HEA. I feel like it's a good romance book. It's well written. The prose is beautiful.
I don't know if it was beautiful, but it was entertaining.
I think the prose is beautiful. I think it's well
defined. I do remember there was one part, and I wish I don't have a mechanism to quote it directly, but it was talking about Sabrina, and it was talking about how she was showing a rare moment of softness, and it was and she called it a gift. It was rare that we saw the gift of Sabrina's softness or something like that.
She was telling a story about her past, and she never talked about her past.
And I do remember that I thought that little piece of it was beautiful. Mm-hmm. I also loved the description of Maine.
Yeah, it sounds like a place I want to visit.
All the cute little shops and stuff.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was definitely great. Anything else that we haven't covered?
I mean, I feel like, no. I felt like it was good. I really enjoyed it. There was just these two little nitpicky things.
So
I'm keeping the baby.
I'm gonna put this in lobster rolls. How many lobster rolls would you give it? Lobsters frequented the book.
Out of what?
10 out of 10.
Because there was a lobster like celebration happening in town.
Oh yeah, and I mean the lobster
fest or something.
Yeah, and they were mentioned quite a bit, but I really don't like lobster except for lobster rolls. So
I'm gonna say a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10 lobster rolls.
Loved it. Like I finished reading it and I had a book high for a minute. You can't beat that. Not with a big stick.
Or a big lobster.
Or a big lobster.
All right. I gave
What
it
about you?
5.
Are you keeping the baby or are you throwing it out?
I'm going to let the neighbor babysit the baby, and I'll come see it every now and then. But okay. I don't want to live with the baby. It's not going on the bookshelf.
Okay.
But I'll give it to a friend.
Okay.
I won't donate it to Goodwill.
I thought you read it on Kindle.
It's a metaphor, and it's an analogy. No, actually, I do have the book. That one I have the hard.
That's right. Your dog ate it.
Yeah, I was like, this is the newest book eater because my little baby Baron did find the book and chewed it a bit.
Little baby Baron.
So now I have to keep it as a memento.
You should keep it.
All right. Well, I think we've said all we need to say about Happy Place. Yeah. I'm glad that it did put you in a happy place.
It did. I'm very happy.
And just so you know, on the next episode, we will be discussing the 2023 Nebula Award-winning book, Babel. By R.F. Kuang. All right. You ready for this bookend?
I'm ready for the bookend.
So one of the aforementioned sections of the book wherein they share a picture of margaritas.
Hold on, I'm going to get some more margarita.
Let's do some, because you're going to...
I'm going to need some margarita for the bookend.
I will take some too. So, in that same night... Yes. Oh, I didn't talk about the recipe for the drink, but it's a margarita. Everybody knows how to make a margarita. It's 3-2-1. 3 parts tequila, 2 parts Cointreau and lime juice, and 1 part sweetener of your choice. I used agave. So,
as you should.
So in that crazy night,
okay,
Sabrina had the wild idea that they would all get matching tattoos.
Oh, God.
And I've often brought up the idea of our friend group getting matching tattoos, and yet I remain unadorned. So I'm going to be describing to you famous people who have matching tattoos.
Okay. This is fun.
And you will guess either who they are or what the tattoo was.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
We're going to start off with a slow pitch across, what do they call it when they send them an easy pitch in baseball?
Slow pitch?
Yeah, there's a term for that. You're not a baseball person.
No.
Baseball's my favorite sport.
So you should know what it's called then.
I used to.
I mean, slow pitch feels right.
Okay. It says something right across home plate. I can't. I can't. Okay.
A lob?
Yeah, it was lobbed across. Okay. 8 cast members of this movie got the word 9 written in Elvish.
Okay, that really sounds like Lord of the Rings.
Ding, ding, ding. All right. Music's biggest power couple have the Roman numeral 4. Both of their days of birth, their anniversary, and the number of letter in their daughter's name.
4?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a music power couple?
Mm-hmm. 4 is not the number in their names, just in their daughter's name. Whose name is Blue.
And that did not help me.
Oh, that was my clue.
So their daughter's name is Blue, and they're a music power couple.
Yeah.
I don't even think I know a music power couple. Except for, Beyonce and Jay-Z.
Ding, 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 ding.
Okay.
You're doing awesome.
Hey.
Most of the members of British boy band One Direction have this piece of hardware tattooed near their ankles as a symbol of staying grounded because they keep you together.
Oh, God. One Direction. I saw them in concert.
I only know who they are because of Tracy's obsession with Harry Styles.
Watermelon Sugar. Yeah, I know. Maria was obsessed with them when she was young. Okay. What would they have tattooed that would keep them grounded?
A piece of hardware that keeps things together.
Duct tape? Mm-hmm. No, it's not. It's got to be like an electrical thing.
Mm-mm. No.
No?
Think like, a nail or...
a screw?
Ding, 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 ding.
They have a screw tattooed on their ankle?
Yes, they do, according to Google.
Jesus Christ, Harry.
Members of this cast took it a step further.
Okay.
Not only did they get matching tattoos, but several of the cast members actually were the tattoo artists.
Oh, that sounds like a story that I've read on Reddit.
Some of the cast members that you might be thinking of would be Margot Robbie, Will Smith, and Cara...
Suicide Squad.
Yes, you got
Okay.
it. I would like to mention that this Cara Delevingne...
Cara Delevingne, she's eyebrows.
Mm-hmm, has a lot of matching tattoos with people. I could have made a whole list just with her.
She was in that movie that I hate.
Which would be?
I don't remember the name of it, but
I only know her from Carnival Row.
She's in that movie with that guy. It's with the guy from the water film I saw that one time.
Kevin Costner?
No, it's close though. And it was a comic book.
Wasn't Waterworld?
No,
I don't know.
I don't remember, but I hate it.
I only know her from Carnival Row.
She was amazing in it, but the guy was a fucking.
She is very lovely.
She's lovely,
but I think she might be a little cray cray.
Because of the eyebrows?
No, I'm just basing it off the fact that she has so many matching tattoos with people.
And yet you want to have a matching tattoo?
Well, the problem with her is that she has matching tattoos with like a bunch of people. So I think she's probably really good at creating instant intimacy with people.
Who's that?
But
someone like that I know.
But, oh, checkmate. Okay. All right, I love her then.
Okay.
But she's probably not healthy.
I think she's fine.
Okay. Country music trio the Dixie Chicks get what tattooed on their feet to commemorate career milestones?
Oh, wow. What would the Chicks get tattooed on their feet?
This is the only one that I knew without the Google.
Worms?
No. Chicken feet.
Chicken feet.
It's kind of cute.
That's adorable.
All right. These two cast members of Only Murders in the Building have the same rose tattoo.
Is it the Steves?
No, but it is one of the people that we just got through discussing.
Kara. She was in Only Murders in the Building?
Mm-hmm. She was the girl who used...
Is it the other chick that's in the... Mm-hmm. What's her name? The Disney star?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're so close.
I can't remember what her name is. I can... Selena Gomez? No.
Mm-hmm.
Selena Gomez?
Go. Yeah.
Okay.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ah.
I already read that one. These two, the cast of the teen show Pretty Little Liars, which my mom loves. I've never seen it, but my mom loves it.
Maria also had an obsession with that show.
The cast members, you can share this fun fact, got their character's first initial tattooed on what body part?
Pretty Little Liars.
Mm-hmm.
Their finger.
What finger?
The forefinger.
For why? Why would they do that? Because of...
The writing? Or the shushing?
Yeah,
isn't that cute? Gossip Girl. Yeah, okay.
I thought that was cute. And I saw a picture of it, and the font is like the typewriter font, and it's just one letter of their... I thought that was...
I guessed the right answer for the wrong reason, but...
Oh.
What now?
It counts.
What now?
100% counts. These two British musicians got a pingu. I'm not British, but apparently that's a British children's show character that's a penguin. Mm-hmm. So they have this cartoon.
What kind of animal is that?
I think
again?
It's claymation.
Would you say?
A penguin?
Okay.
I say penguin. I don't know what Benedict Cumberbatch.
I say penguin.
I say penguin.
Okay.
Penguin, and you say?
Penguin.
Is it because it's spelled like pen?
No, because that's how it's pronounced.
I'm pretty sure it's penguin.
Okay.
Penguin.
Sure.
Maybe it's my southern.
Maybe.
Anyways. These two British musicians got Pingu, a penguin, from a children's television show together. And I will tell you, one of them is the aforementioned. I feel like that's the second time I've used the word aforementioned.
Nice.
Harry Styles.
So one of them is Harry Styles?
Not another member of One Direction, though.
And is it British? Is it Ed Sheeran?
Whoa! Yes, it is.
Nice.
Very good. Okay. And that's the end of it. That's the end of the bookend.
Sweet.
Very good job. So let's see. You got 1, 2, 3.
I got them all.
Except for Dixie Chicks.
Except for the Dixie Chicks. Which is now just the Chicks.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they dropped the Dixie because of racism.
Well, that is good for them. I probably should have used Google in this case so that I would be... But I haven't listened to the Chicks in a long time.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think that just about does it. That's a country music reference. Any Vern Gosdin fans out there?
But until next time...
Eat
the books, motherfuckers!